Hello, everyone. Here we are again. Another week has passed. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful week. And hope things that we discussed last time made sense to you and you were able to use it and focus on it. And you had a wonderful, wonderful week. Now, today, we want to talk about the things that you have on your mind in regards to what we discussed last week. I remind you, last week we were talking about happiness and what happiness was. And we discussed about that happiness is basically on the basics of life. It's the fact that we are alive, the fact that we are here on this earth, living. And happiness is all about understanding that all it takes is for us to recognize that we're alive. We can breathe. And if you have something to eat, something to drink, and something to wear, and somewhere to sleep, then that's the basics of all we need to be happy. The rest of it is gravy. Go and make what you want to make in this life. And remember, we don't want to be on our last day and ask for one more day, because right now you have thousands and thousands of days ahead of you, which is already given to you. So do what you can with it and go for whatever you want to make in this life. And now let's talk about what's on your mind. And remember, question and answer. It doesn't mean that you are the only one who can ask the questions. I will put some questions in the form of something to add to what you're saying. Now, when I see the comments, I may not necessarily read the comments. I will answer them. Otherwise, you would have to be looking for the questions. So the answers would eventually make sense that there was a question about it. Otherwise, if it's a specific question, I will also read the question. So let's go and let's see what's on your mind. For me, I think that you should always recognize that you're conditioned to think that you're not happy, that you need to be more than what you are. And that's the basics of making us feel like we're not happy, because we're conditioned all through our childhood that we must be more than what we are. And that already makes us think we're not good enough to be happy. We should do something in order to satisfy someone or to be counted and deserve to be happy. Okay, now I'm going to see what else in here. If you somehow found a way to extract all of the gold from the bubbling core of your lovely little planet, you would be able to cover all the... Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you can find all the good things that you can find in life, that would be great. But remember, it's not about what you have in this life. It's about what you do with what you have. I cannot expect to wait my life out until I have millions of dollars, or the kind of car that I wanted, or the kind of house that I wanted, the kind of girlfriend that I wanted, or if you are a lady, the kind of boyfriend you want to have it, or whatever your inclination is, then I will say, now I'm happy. No. If I can do with whatever I have, whatever money I have, whatever things that it is mine, and make the best use of it, that's enough to be happy. Otherwise, I'll always be waiting for something to happen better than what I have, and that could be a waiting game forever, never ending. So, how does one live happy when this little planet is overburdened by 7 billion human beings? Well, you're also one of the 7 billion. Why would you worry about how many we are? Why don't we just try to be the best we can do and make the best possible reflection of it, and make the best possible influence on our societies, on our communities, on each other? The more you think we have problems, the more we should be taking steps to help others and help ourselves to have less problems. It's not like saying, well, there's so many people here, how can I be happy? What does that have anything to do with anything? Acceptance instead of expectations, all right. Who am I? Nobody. Happiness means different to each of us, okay? Happiness means different to each of us. That's true. But there are some things that are very um, universal to all of us. And that is the way we've been conditioned. Look, we seem to think that what we have right now is not enough. So we go in our mind, go in the past of our memories, try to find what and how it was then, so we can find something more to be happy about. Or we fly out in our imagination to the future, conjure up something in order to make ourselves feel we have enough. We're missing the point. It's like you're standing in front of the river, and all you're watching is what's coming in front of you and passing by, and you're following it where it's gone to the point that you can't even see it anymore, but you keep looking for it. That's gone. There's nothing you can do with it. Why don't you pay attention to the water that is passing by you right now? Meaning, why don't you pay attention to the moments and times of life that is happening? Things are happening, not things that happened. What happened doesn't exist. It's gone. It's finished. So if you don't waste your time and worry about what happened, well, that's one reason you can never be happy. Why? Because if you're meeting the present moment with the eyes of the past, then you will never notice what's in front of you. It is like when you're always in your memory and when you're always thinking about what you don't have, it's like it doesn't let you actually see what it is available. Like you have your boat on the dock tied up, and you have no opportunity to see what's in the ocean unless you cut this rope and let it start going in, and then you can see what else is out there. Now, if you sit and think about the relationship that you lost, or the money that you lost, or the opportunity that went by, or things that you don't have anymore, that is just like your boat is stuck on the dock and tied down. You have no opportunity to go out and see what else is there, to be free and notice how the movement of life is, because you're constantly in your past. With your eye at the past, you're looking at the present, which means you see nothing. All you see is a reflection of what is in your consciousness, which in turn doesn't let you really enjoy the moment. You won't even see. Look, most of us only believe what we can see or what we know. So if we don't free our mind to focus on the moment and what is happening in life, we will only be focusing on what we know, which is in our consciousness, which that has been created all through the past, which means we're only focused on the past. When we're focused on the past, that means we have no chance of having this boat fly, what a boat, go further into the ocean and see what else is out there. Because we're constant. It's like you're trying to go forward, but you're constantly looking back. As long as you're looking back, you can't really see what's forward and what things are out there and how you can enjoy it, what you can make out of it. Correct? So best is to focus what is happening in your life, make the best of that, and then be happy with that. Not that what I don't have, what I should have, I'm not enough, I can't be happy because I don't have enough, and all these other things that we think. Most of us are not happy because caring does not work. What? Making others happy reflects happiness. Okay, yeah, making others happy reflects to happiness. Correct. I would say making someone else happy is a reason to be happy all the time, but trying to focus to make ourselves happy, well, we can only be happy if we get a raise in the job, or a nice house, or we buy a car, or we get some money, or something happens, which is once in a year, once every 2 years. So if we're only focused on what happens to us as the reason to be happy, then we'll be happy maybe once a year and once every 2 years. But if we are focused, and our reason for happiness would be how we make somebody else life better, how we make somebody else more comfortable. Like let's say you have a child. Well, if you only focus on what makes you happy, which would be a raise, a car, a house, whatnot, once every 2 years, once in a year, you'll be happy. But if you focus on what makes your child happy, then every time that he drinks or she drinks or does his homework well or plays well or is happy or sleeping well, every little thing that you do for him or her makes you happy. So there are hundreds of things every day you can be happy. So again, I say, just as you said, if there is no loyalty, there is no happiness. So in other words, if you're loyal to someone, something, some cause, then you're always happy for all the little things they can do for that person or for that project, for that thing that you want to accomplish. Then you're always happy. That's another way of being happy, rather than just focusing on what I get in order to be happy. Okay. Now, remember what we talked about. When something bothers you, you often think that's the whole world. When somebody disses you, or somebody disrespects you, or somebody does something that you don't like, or a relationship breaks up, or you lose your job, or whatever it is that you're going through that moment, somehow we humans think that is the whole of life. That's why we get affected wholly, totally devastated, because we have shrunk the life into that one event. That is the moment that you should recognize life is far bigger than that what it is that you're seeing or you're dealing with at that moment. That is only because it's in the field of your vision. You're only focused on it. Look, life is an illusion. Let's be a little philosophical. Most things in life is an illusion. Reality is the illusion that you focus on. Think about it for a second. Everything is an illusion, if we want to say that. Your reality is that illusion that you focus on. So whatever is happening, which could be illusion or could be reality, but because you focus totally on it, you think that represents a whole life, then you get devastated and you think your whole life is bad. It's not your whole life is bad. Only one thing is gone wrong. Look, have you seen these bridges over big rivers? You know, we all have them in different countries. Huge rivers and huge bridges over them. And these bridges have so many steel ropes that tie down from somewhere way up there and is holding to the other parts of this bridge, right? Maybe hundreds of these thick ropes are steel ropes, steel cables are holding this bridge. Why do you think there's so many? Because if one goes off, the bridge doesn't fall. Two goes up, the bridge doesn't fall. The redundancy, so many of it. Same thing in your life. You're secure and you're living in this life by so many tentacles attached to you, holding you up. Your family, your job, your love, if you have, if you don't, your own life that you love, your friends, your projects, the things you like to do, the fact that you get up, go have that tea or coffee in your favorite coffee shop, the fact that you walk by the ocean, all these things that you like in life are those cables. You're the bridge. It's all holding you up. The problem is when something goes wrong, let's say your relationship, that's the rope that is just cut. You think that's the only rope that is holding you up, and you think, I'm going to fall now. You're not. You got your family, you got your job, you got your other projects, you got your friends, you got the things that you love to do, the things that you like to eat, so many things that makes you realize only one line is cut, which that itself is an opportunity to connect it to a new thing, a new relationship, a new job, a new thing you like to do. So realize, don't shrink life to only one thing in your life. When you do that, and when that thing doesn't look that great, then you feel devastated. Oh, my whole life went gone. No. Only one thing is not working well, and you will fix that. Because you never know what the river is bringing the next day. If you only believe what you see, then that means you have no faith, you have no understanding that there is a river moving and there's always more things in it that is coming your way, and you can look at it, you can pick them. Then that means you think you're not in front of the river, you're in front of a pond. A pond doesn't have movement, nothing moves in it. That's not our life. Our life is a river. If one day is not good, this river is flowing, and the next day something else is going to be in it. Maybe a fish, maybe, I don't know, some money floating up, maybe an orange, maybe something shiny, maybe something that attracts you that you really actually want to jump in and enjoy. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you imagine yourself standing in front of a river, the water is coming from this way, from the mountainside, and flowing this way and going that way. As the water passes you by, that's what has been passed. That's past. It's gone. So don't look that way so much. And what is coming from this side, the mountainside, hasn't come yet. That's your future. Don't worry about that. Focus on what's in front of you passing by. Focus and look at it and enjoy it. Try to pick what you can from it. Try to focus on it, jump in it, become one with it. Focus on the movement of the water in front of you. That's your life at the now. That's what's happening in your life. Get engaged with that life of you at that moment. Don't worry about what the water that is past. Don't worry about the past. Past is gone. Doesn't exist. It's dead. No sense running after it. Don't worry about what's coming, because it's not here yet, but it is coming. So don't lose hope. If you don't see what you like in front of you, they're still coming. Wait for it. You will notice it. And don't worry about what's been done that you didn't like. It doesn't exist anymore. You don't have to be bothered by it. It's gone. It's finished. Your problem solved. It's not there anymore. So if we can focus on these little things like that, life becomes a little bit more bearable, and then you'll have things to focus on that makes you actually happy. Now, what else do we have here? Live the present. Okay, so true. Okay, well, good. Let's see. Where's my tea here? Now, realize that we are all fragmented, and somehow we think that we are only what we are, and we can never be more. Things will never change because we don't consider the whole of life. We think we're only something that represents the whole of life, but in fact, our minds, our thoughts, what we know, it's all just a fragment of the whole thing. If you think that way, then you see so much possibilities out there that you don't know, you haven't noticed, but it's out there. If you just focus on the fact that you're not the only thing that can make things go around, and there are things that are actually on its way towards you to make things change if it's not something you like, then you will live with a little bit more hope every day. Look, the first thing you do in the morning, unfortunately most of us, as soon as we open our eyes, we're conditioned to think we're not enough. We're not good enough. We got to be more. So the first thing comes to our mind is what I don't have. I don't have enough money, or my car doesn't work, or I don't have this, or that's what we do because we're conditioned always to think a little bit negatively. What if we just get up the next morning and the first thing we do, think about the things that we do have. Like, open my eyes. I'm alive. That's a good start. I'm gonna have tea. Great. Little things. Focus on the reasons for your happiness on little things, small things. Then you have so many of it during the day. There'll be so many little things that fueling up and making you happy every moment of the day. And that's all we need. A little bit more energy. And remember, it is always good to spend some time with yourself in the nature. Maybe in front of the ocean, in front of somewhere nice, some nice trees, some shade, and just sit, close your eyes for a moment, and think how big the universe is. How many possibilities, billions of possibilities is out there. When you actually recognize the vastness of the universe, then you will recognize the amazing number of possibilities and hope that could be out there too. Things can always change. But if you only think you are the whole life, and the whole life is only what's around you, then you will be thinking that it's such a small thing, therefore not much hope and possibilities could be out there. So you're defeating the reality. You're focusing on something that is not true. So, why don't we now have a different way of living by focusing on the moment, focusing on all the good things that happen in our lives, and find more reasons to be happy, little reasons to be happy. Let's see what we have in here. Okay. All right. Okay. I want a question, guys. Otherwise, I'll be talking all the time. I don't think that's what you want to hear. You probably want to hear something about some question that you may be having. Okay. Never depend on someone or something else for your happiness. Okay. It's best to say, find all the reasons that you can change if you're not happy about something. In other words, be engaged in movements and motions in life. In other words, if you're doing something, then you're with the actuality of life, because at that moment you can change what you're doing. Let's say I'm about to drink this tea, and now I don't drink it. So I'm right with this. An action that I'm doing, it puts me in control of, I'm changed. That's the reality of life. But if I'm just drinking and thinking about something else, I'm not focusing on what I'm doing, then I'm not living in the present moment. I'm actually living the past, looking at everything else with the eye of the past. That's what we don't know. What is life? Aha. What is life? What do you think life is? I think life is an experience, a chance to learn. Experience what this is, learn what much we can, so in turn, as a part of the universe, we collect all that consciousness, all that information, and then eventually, as a whole, we help the whole universe to become more intelligent. So life is about making the whole universe more intelligent. It's not about us only. It's about what we do for ourselves to learn, for others to learn, for others to have a little bit more compassion, more better chance in life. And all these experiences is not just for us to come here and then we die with it. Because what we accumulate and how we live, that affects the frequency of the energy that we have. So when we actually are no longer here, what do you think that happens without all that knowledge and that energy? That doesn't die. Energy doesn't die. I think it will be a way for universe as a whole to become wiser, more intelligent, and perhaps further and further generations as a whole in universe will be living in a universe which is more intelligent, more fair, through our experiences in life. So life is not a personal experience. We are all like pieces of puzzles that builds and shapes and changes this whole universe as a whole, not just our small life. Maybe, in a way. Before we get too heavy, let me go on the next stage. Next question. What is love? Beautiful question. Many think love is an emotion. I tend to think life is love is a frequency. Because in that frequency, you are in total surrender. You have no thoughts of any kind. You're totally submerged in that frequency of love. And it's a moment that one becomes one with the universe, because when there is no thought, there is no time. And when there is no time, you become one with the whole universe, because you become one with the whole existence. And love is the frequency in which you don't think anymore. And when you don't think anymore, there is no time anymore. And this discussion of thought and time, we will have it some other time. That's a whole discussion by itself. But in a nutshell, when you think, usually you think about your memory, your consciousness, what's in here, what you have gained all through your life. All thoughts come from the field of the known, the field of the consciousness. Your memory are born from the memory. So when you think, what are you really, where are you really? You are in your memory, you're in your consciousness, which consciousness and memory is made in the past. So when you think, you're in the past, or you're in the future. So you create time by thinking, because you go in the past, if it's in the memory, or if you're conjuring up for something that hasn't happened yet, again you're in conscious, but it's modified to the future. So again, you're creating time. What it was yesterday, will it be the same today? Would it be the same tomorrow? Now you just created time by thinking. That's another topic for another discussion. I've got a hangover, not feeling happy. Don't stop drinking. That will make it go. This is the secret. Love is an unconditional state of attraction with everything. Very good, very good. And that's where you actually are only observing, and you are one with the nature, because you're focusing on the energy of the nature, on the love for it, and there's no thoughts involved, so therefore there's no perception involved. So you actually see and become one with the existence of what you're observing. And that moment, there is no observer and there's no observed. There's only it. And that's the state of oneness with the universe, and that's the state of love, in a way. How can you no longer think when you think you don't think? Well, you're thinking. Good thinking. There are ways that when you meditate, depending on the kind of meditation, you get into a state where you actually become one with the existence of the universe, and there is no thought, there is no time, and that's when time stops. I've explained more of this in my books, which we will talk about it some other times. What is the tea to defer? Aha! That's a good question. This tea is green tea with a hint of blackberry, raspberry, and some other berry. I just wanted a little bit of a sourness in it. So there's a hint of it, but mostly green tea. True happiness lies above the cloud of perspectives. Okay. Thanks for your discussion. Thanks for being here, my friends. Think in the past gives us guilty. Think in the future gives us fear. But that's a question about how fear is born. Well, I did a seminar in the local university just a couple of months ago, and I think that was probably the first time, I dare to say, in the world, that the combination of thought and time and the role of the mind and body coordination showed us where the fear comes from and how we can end it. And for that, again, that seminar exists, the video of it, and we can talk about it some other time, how it can be watched or come to know what was said in it. But fear itself is usually, it comes about when you start comparing things. In other words, fear has to do with time and thought. Time is about when you think what happened yesterday. I had a stomach ache yesterday. And you wonder, will I be having stomachache today? Or I had stomachache yesterday, and I'm fine now. I wonder if I'll be fine tomorrow. See, when you compare now with the past or now with the future, and that's when you start thinking and creating fear. Otherwise, this very moment is so small, this very moment is made of so many small moments that if I don't compare it with anything, I'm with the now, with the reality, there's no fear. Because there's nothing that can be put into this very small moment so I could fear about it. This moment is very safe. I'm here with you, I'm talking, nothing's happening. But as soon as my mind starts thinking about something in the past that happened, would it happen today as well? Or should I worry about it if it could be happening tomorrow? Then I'm creating that fear. That's again short discussion about fear. How to deal or work with negative people? That's a million-dollar question. I would say I learned in Aikido when I was training in university. We try to simply we're off from the negative, just like a bullet coming. You just move away. In front of negative people, you try to just simply clear away, go by your ways, and don't mingle with them. Because negative people, obviously, they're trying to empty themselves out of the negativeness so they could feel better. It's like they're trying to get rid of something. And we don't want to get their shit. Just move away and don't socialize with them too much. There are lots of, toxic people that way, that somehow they've lost the way of the universe, lost the way of nature. They don't understand the way of love, helping each other, helping other people, and be gracious. And so they're constantly centered on themselves, thinking that all there is in life is what their needs. But remember, something I was thinking when I was driving to an appointment yesterday, if I can remember it, people's needs and behavior does not equal or represent any shortcoming in you. People's needs and behavior does not equal or represent any shortcoming in you. And this is why it seems negative to us. Because we have been conditioned to compare ourselves and get other people's affirmation in order to feel good about ourselves. So no matter what and who says it, even, Joe Blow in the street that we don't even know says something bad about you, or utters some bad word about you, or some disrespect, or not a good positive look, or give you a dissing look, or a word that is not really, a kind word, you get offended, even though you don't care about that person. You don't even know that person, because we're conditioned to look for affirmation. And this affirmation is not about who does it, it's about the meaning of the word that we're hearing it. So for that, when people say something bad to you, you think that represents not getting affirmation, and you feel like, oh, you've done something wrong. There's something wrong with you. But you got to focus. Their needs and behavior, whether it's physical behavior or what they're uttering, their needs and behavior does not equal or represent any shortcomings in you. Don't think of it as something about you because it was said. Rise above that. Consider them as something that you got to pass by. You walking in the street, you see lots of things on the street. You don't pay attention to all of them. So why is it you pay attention to words so much? Because somebody said and it's not complimentary to you, then that means something wrong with you. No, we're conditioned to think that we got to seek affirmation, and from birth to death, we're seeking that affirmation. We're trying so hard to be considered approved by this person and that person, and we don't even know who they are. They're looking for approval from some other people. So don't worry about it. Just focus on how you can build yourself as best as you can be. Now, what else? But negative people end up doing bad things So shouldn't we try to change them or help them view things differently? Maybe that will end all the disasters that happen in the world. Well, if you can have a chance to help some negative people to change their way, that's great. But I remember an experience I had when I had just finished, I was visiting my hometown from university. I think I was 21 years old. This is a little bit kind of mystic story. I still don't know what happened, but it was interesting. And I want to share with you, I had some kind of a, you know, kind of a bad feeling or conflict. I had left where we were, where my home was, and I'd gone to another home that my father had built, and it was empty. So I stayed there overnight, and in the morning I felt a little bit, more relaxed, and then I started walking towards where my family was, the other home. There was a big park on the way, huge park, beautiful park. So I decided, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, nobody there, empty. So I decided to go into the park and go somewhere and meditate. That was what I was into, and I still am. I was, practicing martial arts in university. I'd gone home to visit. So I went to the park, and then in the middle of the park, there was a little bit of an islandish coming up. So I went there. It was a couch, few bushels of roses, and few trees, and I guess there was a tree, pussy willow tree, nicely shade. So I sat under it and closed my eyes and start meditating, maybe for about half an hour. There was nobody there. And when I opened my eyes, there was an old man sitting there. And we got talking very politely with him. I tried to learn from him. And then when I questioned to him, what about these people? And he said, you have no mission to teach people. You teach them, share with them what you know. If they accept, great. If you don't, move on. So same thing with you. Try your best, but if you didn't, you don't have to sit there and wait for them until for us to end our program and go back to what you do during the day. I thank you very much for being here, and I hope that we'll see each other to next week.